Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to learn how to create our first web page using HTML. It's easy peasy. Let's dive right in. Before we begin, make sure you have your browser and a code editor. In case you don't know what a code editor is, a code editor is the software we use to write our programs. Now, there are several code editors out there, but the code editor of choice here is Visual Studio Code. So go to your browser and type Visual Studio Code. Okay, and click enter. Now it opens up. Go ahead and load the site. Then when you are here on this page, you hit the download button to download, and after downloading, of course, install the software. After installing the software, the next thing to do is to create our folder, the folder where our code will live in. So choose your preferred location. So here I'm going to choose my desktop. Right click on the desktop and go to new and create a new folder. And I'm going to name this folder my site. All right. I've named the folder my site. Now, the next thing is to launch your code editor, the Visual Studio Code that you just installed. So click on it. You do it to add a desktop link so it can be easy for you to open it whenever you want. All right. I have I have my code editor open right here now on my screen. You can see it already. It's open. So we are going to open our folder, the folder we just created. To do that, click on this file here. You see file, and you're going to see some options here. We have new text file, new window, new um, window with profile. Now we're going to go to open folder, click on the open folder, and then when we've opened it, go to the location where we created our folder, and this is it right here. I called it my site, so I'm clicking on it and then click on open folder. So here it is going to be opened, and of course the folder is opened. Now, this folder here has no file inside of it. For us to be able to write some code, we are going to create a file. So inside of here, I'm going to create a file, and I'm going to call the file index then .html. You can name the file whatever you want. It doesn't have to be indexed. You can name it, you can call it your name, you can call it whatever you want. But what is important is that the name must end with this extension .html. That is what tells the browser that this is a HTML file. Now click on enter and boom, the file has been created. Now we are going to write our code inside of this file. Before we begin, what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext Markup Language. It is simply likened to the foundation of a building. In other words, it gives us the structure of our website. Of course, there's nothing fancy about it. It just basically tells you the structure of the website. Now, to create our HTML code, our first code, first things first, on this blank page, we are going to define the document type. All right, so we are going to do it this way. I'm going to click, hold my shift and one, that is the exclamation mark, and it's going to give us the boilerplate. Okay, so here we have the boilerplate for a basic HTML5. Okay, now look at this thing here. Here we have the doc type. It tells the browser the type of document that is going to pass. All right, and we have the root element. The HTML element is the root element of the page, so it defines the start and the ending of the web page. and it has an attribute. It takes an attribute here called lang, which basically stands for language. So this tells us the basic language in which the website is written in. It is very important for screen readers. So the visually impaired who depend on screen readers will be able to understand what the contents of the page are. And then we have our head element. It represents a collection of metadata for the document. Okay, and it has you can define several meta attributes here, metadata that defines what your page is all about. So here this one is the character set. The character set basically declares the character encoding of the page. All right, for here it is UTF-8, and another metal attribute here, another meta element here. For this one, the name is viewport. The viewport defines the width of the page depending on your device. So it is very important for mobile responsiveness, for responsive design. So if you don't define the viewport and you code your website on a desktop, on a laptop, when you view it on a mobile device, it's going to look weird. It's going to take the shape of the desktop. Okay, so it's very important to define the viewport. So that tells the browser how to scale your content depending on the device you are using. So here it has content, and the value, we define the width of the content of the page, and we set it to the device width, and we define the initial scale. We are basically saying scale it to one, that is, it should take the full width and height of the device. Okay, then here we have the title. The title element defines the title of the page. This is very important for search engine optimization. So here I'm going to change this title from document to, let's change it to my first my first website. Okay, all right, that is that for now. Now, we have another element here, which is the body element. You can notice something, that each element is found in between two angle brackets. The first angle bracket is the less than symbol, and the second one is the greater than symbol. And okay, so these angle brackets are called tags. These are tags, and some elements have opening and closing tag. For here, for the body element, this is the opening tag, and this is the closing tag. That tells us the start to the end of the body of the page. So all our content is going to be inside of this body element. All right. And of course, this is the closing HTML tag, which tells us the end of the document. That is the end of the web page. All right. So let's go over it again. We have the doc type, which defines the the type of document, all right, and we have the HTML element, which tells us the start of the contents of the page. Okay, the page starts from here and ends here. Then we have the head element. Inside of the head element is where we add the metadata um, about our page. This is also where we add links. We add links if we have an external styling sheet. You get to learn about that in upcoming videos. Okay, this is where we put them, and if you have external JavaScript scripts, okay, this is where we also put them. All right, so here now in our body element, inside of the body element is where we are going to define our content. So we are going to start by writing a head element. Okay, there are about six head elements. We have the H1 to H6. They are called headings. All right. So let's write a heading. So write the name. The name is heading one, and I have autocomplete here. So you can see the name is heading one. It represents a section heading. All right, now inside of this heading, we are going to put our content. Maybe let's say my first website, and that is that, my first website. Okay, let's add another element. Let's add a paragraph. So I'm going to type angle bracket, that is less than symbol, the name of the element, which is P for paragraph, and then close it. And we also have the closing tag. So inside of it, let's say I just built my first web page from scratch. Okay, so this is what I want to have inside of this page. So when we load this page, remember I said the contents of the page are seen here inside of the body element. So all these things here, we are not going to see them on the page, but on the address bar, we are going to see my first website. Now, for us to preview this code, we are going to, this is the time to use our browser. Remember I said we need a code editor and a browser. So click on the name of this file, the index.html. Right click on it and copy the path. Now I've copied the path. I'm going to go over to my browser. Now in the address bar of the browser, in the search bar, we'll paste the path of the file. This is the path of the file right now, and click and hit enter. Boom, and there we have it, my first website. And I just built my first web page from scratch. This is what we had in our paragraph element, and this was what we have in our head element. Now if you look at hover over the address bar here, you are going to see my first website, which was the title element that we created. Okay, let's change it a bit in case you are not sure about that. Inside of here, I'm going to say, um, let's change it to hello. All right, so you see for yourself that whatever it is, let's refresh the page now. So we have refreshed the page, and if you hover over it now, we are going to see hello, which is the title of the page. Okay, this is what will appear in search when people search on Google, assuming your website is online. This is what they are going to see. It's going to help your website to be discovered. I believe you are excited to have created your first web page.
If you found this video helpful, you can consider leaving a like, and if you are new here, you can subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching and see you on my next video.